Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Jiang. We've got some really important stories for you tonight, so let's take a look real quick. Protests broke out across the country over the Roe v. Wade leak. Like many recent protests, it turned violent. We'll let you know who was injured at the protest in Southern California. A district attorney announced murder charges against 3 suspects involved in a Northern California gang shooting last month. 2 suspects are in jail while the police are searching for the 3rd. And the Golden State saw its population decline for the 2nd year in a row. That's after years of consistent growth. We'll take a look at what caused it. After leaked Supreme Court documents suggested ending Roe v. Wade, protests hit major cities across the country, including those in California. In Los Angeles, injuries were reported during clashes with pro-abortion protesters and rioters. At least 1 police officer was injured.
It started out with a walk and chant, but then violence broke out. At least 1 Los Angeles Police Department officer was injured during a clash against pro-abortion protesters and rioters on Tuesday night. According to the police chief, 250 protesters were walking from the Federal Building to Pershing Square. Officers attempted to communicate, clear, and provide dispersal order to the group, and that the crowd started throwing rocks and bottles at the officers. Video footage and photos of the incident suggest that the crowd was comprised of mostly pro-abortion protesters, with some holding coat hangers. Video also shows protesters who took over an intersection trying to hit police cars that arrived to disperse the crowd. A glass door at One Planet Fitness was smashed. The LA Times reported authorities declared it an unlawful assembly at around 9:30 p.m. The demonstration and violence comes after a report published Monday suggesting that the U.S. Supreme Court would overturn Roe v. Wade.
It would mean that we are taking a very dangerous step backwards towards a new reality of rolling back rights to a theocracy, even, because these are deeply religious people who are in power, and they're using their religious beliefs to legislate the majority of people who don't agree with them and don't want to see that happen. So.
On Wednesday, Governor Gavin Newsom vowed to make California a sanctuary state for abortions.
And we will assert ourselves, as I said, as Californians by punching above our weight, working with other like-minded leaders and governors and legislatures all across this country.
Newsom said the proposed amendment would be presented to voters in the November general election. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, the ruling wouldn't ban abortion nationwide, but instead let each state legislature decide how to handle abortion laws.
In the wake of the Supreme Court leak, many California politicians have weighed in on the potential ruling. While Democratic politicians are pushing for more abortion laws, one Republican described their actions as insane. California politicians have made their stances known on the controversial May 2nd Roe v. Wade leak. Governor Gavin Newsom tweeted that he intends to fight against the potential ruling. The governor, along with Democratic State Leader Tony G. Atkins and Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon, issued a joint statement in response to the leaked draft opinion and vowed to write pro-abortion laws into the state constitution. Democratic lawmakers have introduced a slate of pro-abortion bills in recent months. One of the bills, Senate Bill 1142, would set up a state-controlled fund to pay for abortions for women with low incomes, including out-of-state residents. Republican Senator Melissa Melendez told the Epoch Times on Tuesday that Democrats' push to pay for abortions for out-of-state residents is insane. She also contends that amending the state constitution would be pointless and idiotic. Melendez added, the Democratic Party's plan to use Roe v. Wade to portray themselves as champions of women's rights in an election year might not work as well as they've planned. It's a political thing, of course. It's a wedge issue, and they're certainly going to try to seize upon that, but I don't see how that's going to help them. The Supreme Court has not given a vote on the matter and is investigating the leak. 3 suspects in the gang-related shooting that left 6 dead in Sacramento last month have been charged with murder, but one of the suspects is still at large. NTD's Eileen Ng has the details on the sentences.
Sacramento District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert announced on Tuesday murder charges for 3 suspects involved in the downtown Sacramento rival gang shooting.
The charges today that have been filed in arrest warrants issued, a judge signed those arrest warrants, involve Smiley Martin, Dondre Martin, and Matula Payton.
The three men are now facing murder charges for the early morning shooting on April 3rd.
All participants in this incident, the surviving ones, the Martin brothers and Matula Payton, are charged with all of the deaths of those innocent bystanders. That is what we have today. Those are the charges. The investigation continues.
The shooting left 6 people dead and 12 wounded outside bars just blocks away from California's capital.
Gang and gun violence are rare on this scale and rare on downtown streets, but violence is far too common in many of our neighborhoods.
Smiley Martin, one of the brothers involved in the shooting, was freed from prison a few months before, and again last year. He's described as a dangerous, remorseless gang member in court documents.
We know that a small number of criminals can inflict huge suffering, including repeat offenders, gang members, and people willing to resort to violence to resolve differences. Guns and gangs are fully entrenched in this. Addressing urban violence needs to be a community effort and requires partnerships at every level.
Police have identified a total of 4 people involved in the shooting. The Martin brothers are in jail. One died during the shooting, and Payton's whereabouts are unknown. Police believe at least 5 shooters were involved. The brothers are scheduled to return to court on May 27th.
During a mayoral debate event at CSU Los Angeles, police escorted a woman from the forum. She is a Black Lives Matter co-founder, as well as a professor.
A Black Lives Matter chapter co-founder and Los Angeles professor, Melina Abdullah, was physically removed by campus police from a Los Angeles mayoral debate on Sunday, May 1st. Abdullah reportedly entered the CSU Los Angeles venue without a ticket. She declined requests from officers to leave. The event was co-hosted by Pat Brown Institute and the Los Angeles League of Women Voters at California State University, LA.
You're hurting your hands off. You're hurting me. Get your hands off of her. This is a public university.
Other videos show police escorting her and being met outside with protesters from a progressive activist group known as the People's City Council, demanding Abdullah be let go and attempting to block the officers. The group said there was no disruption and 4 cops picked up Melina and pulled her out. All of this for a mayoral debate. On the same night, Abdullah stated, "Today I attempted to watch the mayoral debate held on the campus where I've taught for 20 years. As I waited for it to start, the white PBI director called the police on me." CSU LA issued a statement saying the event was not a public forum and had strict check-ins for media and limited guests. The organizers intended to focus on the live broadcast.
It may come as no surprise to some, but California's population shrunk for the second year in a row. Let's take a look at not just the numbers, but also what's causing the decline.
State officials said on Monday California's population declined again in 2021 for the second consecutive year. Nearly all of California's coastal counties lost population in 2021, while most inland counties saw steady growth. Officials pointed to 4 reasons: a slowdown in births and immigration, coupled with an increase in deaths and people leaving the state. With an estimated 39.2 million residents, California is still the U.S.'s most populous state, putting it far ahead of second place Texas, with its 29.7 million residents. Florida sits at third place with 21.9 million residents. When California's population dropped for the first time in 2020, officials dismissed it as an outlier and blamed the CCP virus, also known as COVID-19. But new estimates released on Monday by the California Department of Finance show the trend continued in 2021. Officials say younger generations are having fewer children and more people are moving to other states. Critics point to California's soft-on-crime approach, among other policies, for causing a steady stream of people leaving. Impacts of the decline have already been seen as California lost a seat in Congress for the first time, after the U.S. Census showed it did not grow as fast as other states.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we've got for you when we come back. A former U.S. Transportation Secretary recently passed away. He served across party lines and was a pioneer for one racial group in high-ranking government positions. Inflation is hitting hard, and many are paying the price, including those who make our food. We hear from one egg farmer about the difficulties he's facing. And it's the day for every Star Wars fan to send their friends well wishes in that way that only a Jedi can. Our reporters went to one town that was celebrating May the 4th with a scavenger hunt. That and more on California Today. A former U.S. Transportation Secretary has passed away. He was known to be a pioneer for Asian Americans serving in high-profile government posts.
TSA must focus on continuous security improvement across all transportation modes.
Norma Mineta was a San Jose native, mayor, congressman, former U.S. Secretary of Commerce, and U.S. Secretary of Transportation. He was 90 when he passed away. Mineta's former chief of staff, John Flaherty, said Mineta died peacefully on Tuesday at his home surrounded by family in Edgewater, Maryland. Flaherty said he died due to a heart ailment and that he was an extraordinary public servant and a very dear friend. Mineta is the son of Japanese immigrants who spent 2 years of his childhood at a World War II internment camp. Mineta began his political career leading his hometown of San Jose before joining the Clinton administration as Commerce Secretary and then crossing party lines to serve in Bush's cabinet. Mineta broke racial barriers for Asian Americans in becoming mayor of San Jose, California. He was also the first Asian American to become a federal cabinet secretary, serving under both President Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. As Bush's transportation secretary, Mineta ordered commercial flights to stay grounded after the 9/11 terror attacks. It was the first such order given in the history of U.S. aviation. It was Mineta who was subsequently charged with restoring confidence in air travel in the aftermath of the terror attacks.
Our one team is focusing on ways to increase security at our nation's airports. The other is focusing on aircraft integrity and security with specific attention to cockpit access and an expanded federal air marshal program. Both teams are meeting regularly and with urgency, and their reports are due on October 1 at the latest.
Bush awarded him the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 2001, the San Jose airport was renamed after him. In 2006, he resigned at age 74 after 5.5 years in his post, making him the longest-serving transportation secretary.
Nearly 24 firefighter crews gathered in Paynes Creek on Tuesday for the annual Ishi Conservation Camp Preparedness Exercise. The 3-day training event is hosted by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more.
During the event, crews arrive on site and immediately face inspection as they collect their gear and face questions on firefighting techniques, tools, and more.
It's important because the crews they do need to be proficient in their skills for various reasons. They need to be in shape. They need to be able to use their tools successfully and basically know their job.
During inspection, firefighters simulate air tanker drops, which are frequently used during wildfires. Officials also inspect the fire shelters used, which are then deployed as part of the training. Firefighters then embark on a timed 3-mile hike. After the trek, they're instructed to cut a 300-foot line on a hillside. Line cutting is a firefighting practice designed to create a perimeter around the fire to contain it. Factors for determining the size of the line include fuels and weather. Misty Calvo is in her second year as a firefighter.
With how we got critiqued and just from what our superior said, feeling pretty good. We didn't have any deductions, so feeling good about this fire season. Going in, feeling prepared and ready, knowing that we can do our job to the best of our abilities.
She was assigned to scrapes, cleaning up the line, and removing all debris toward the back of the line.
We got good kudos. They said our line looked good. It was clean. We had no deductions on our line, so that's always a great positive, knowing that, we're training well and, when we get out there, knowing that we're putting out good line and the hike went grow. We all did good. We all stayed together and, pushed each other, motivated each other.
California's wildfires are as destructive as ever. The past 2 years have seen the biggest wildfires in state history. In 2020, the August Complex fire consumed more than 1 million acres, and in 2021, the Dixie Fire burned more than 963,000 acres. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Californians are feeling inflation everywhere, from gas to food. One Southern California farmer talked about how inflation is straining his prices and potentially the future of his farm.
Inflation is hitting the country hard, including California's poultry farms. Frank Hilliker, a fourth-generation egg farmer, said inflating prices are putting him at risk of losing labor.
My feed is up over 100%, so I'm paying over double for what I was paying for a couple of years ago. Fuel's up 40%, packaging is up, depending on the packaging, 25%, labor 10 to 15%. So the way we deal with it is we're tied to the market and the eggs that we sell. So first of all, we hope that the market is going to be high enough to cover those costs. If not, we cut labor.
Hilliker runs his egg farm in Lakeside of San Diego County, where he houses around 25,000 chickens. He said inflation has also hit his sales.
Egg consumption has slowed down. Some of our biggest stores that would take 2-3 pallets of eggs a week, you figure there's 900 dozen on a pallet, are down to like just taking 1 pallet a week because they've gotten so high.
Inflation is endangering his farm so much that he is more worried about it than diseases like bird flu. Even though bird flu could potentially wipe out his entire flock, he says inflation is still the main concern.
Bird flu and the health of the birds don't keep me up at night because I know we do a good job. And if the bird flu happens, there's really not much you can do. It is what it is. You just got to accept it and move on. But what keeps me up at night is the inflation. All my costs, all my raising costs.
Hilliker is doing his best to keep business as usual, with his farm producing 20,000 eggs on average per day.
That's not the only space news we have for you. Very recently, in a town not too far away, Star Wars fans celebrated May the 4th with a scavenger hunt. People paid homage to the iconic film saga, all while bringing families to the town's local small businesses. NTD's David Lamb gets a look at the intergalactic event.
Fourth Bay with you.
Say it really loud, Wells.
1. Fourth Bay with you.
Adults and children alike called out the familiar "May the Force be with you" for May 4th, when Danville held their 7th annual Star Wars celebration. It included activities such as Jedi training and a scavenger hunt.
It's fun to train the young Padawans to make sure that they become Jedis, and just really, it's a family event.
RJ Natal is the organizer of the event and a fan of the franchise.
First time I was 6 years old, and it was amazing. The epic Star Wars, the New Hope, was the first movie that came out, and it's one of the, to this day, epic movies out there.
He's expecting over 100 kids this year.
At the end of the day, this is about people coming together. It's a lot of work. The staff do a great job putting this together. Trust me, we've all sweated out here before.
As for the scavenger hunt, it's designed to have hidden characters inside stores throughout the town. One participating store is Danville Chocolates.
Okay, so one of the hints is who is asked to do the magic hand thing. I'm guessing it's Luke Skywalker, referring to the Force. Anyways, let's go inside and check it out.
We've done this every year for the last several years. It's just fun. A lot of the kids and families dress up, and it's just like, it's almost like a mini Halloween. It's so fun to do, yeah. It's fun to have people back in the store this year. May the 4th be with you.
It turned out that the character in this store is Grogu, also known as Baby Yoda.
We're at 11 so far. We need how many more? 3?
3.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader? How come?
Because he was Anakin, then he turned into Darth Vader.
Yeah. Okay. Did you see all the movies yet?
Not yet.
This young Padawan graciously shows us his impression of his favorite character.
It's so wonderful, the events that the town puts on for the kids. They love it, and it's a great time. We're looking forward to Jedi training later and the party later tonight.
When people think of Star Wars, there's many characters that bring back their memories, such as Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. So today, to all the fans out there, may the 4th be with you. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for your daily sports update.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
Robinson building some speed. Looks like he wants to ramp up again. This time a big rotation. He gets it.
Australian surfer Jack Robinson won the World Surf League's Margaret River Pro on Wednesday using intimate knowledge of his home break and a high-risk approach to beat a seemingly unstoppable John Florence in the final. Countrywoman Isabella Nichols fought out a tense, low-scoring final to come out on top against Hawaiian rookie Gabrielle Bryant, who was competing in her first championship tour final. After giant conditions on Tuesday, waves at Margaret River's main break were still solidly overhead and groomed by offshore winds. That allowed for big turns outside and explosive maneuvers on the end section where the shallow reef awaited any mistake, ready to chew on boards or bodies. Florence, Hawaii's two-time world champ, had not lost a heat at Margaret River since 2016, setting a new performance bar at the Western Australia venue with searing, high-speed carves. But Robinson, a child prodigy who grew up charging West Australia's powerful reef breaks, brought his own big terms and combined them with progressive aerials to edge Florence in the final. Under a controversial new tour format introduced this year, the men's field will now be cut to 24 from 36 and the women's to 12 from 18 for the remaining 5 events. The top 5 men and women surfers will then compete for the title at a one-day finals in California in September. Going into the Margaret River event, Nichols needed to win and Bryant needed to make the finals to claw their way above the cut from deep in the field. South Africa's Matthew McGillivray also saved his spot on tour with some clutch performances before running into Florence in the semifinals, but Australia's former world number 2, Sally Fitzgibbons, and Olympic bronze medalist Owen Wright missed the cut and were relegated to the second-tier Challenger Series. Major League Baseball's All-Star Game returns to Los Angeles in July after being delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic, and officials on Tuesday vowed to make up for lost time by putting on an unforgettable show. Los Angeles last hosted the game in 1980, and the event has grown quite a bit since then. It now encompasses nearly a week of activities, including yoga, a beach cleanup, batting cages in Santa Monica, a celebrity softball game, concert, MLB draft, the home run derby, and the 90-second All-Star game, all in 1 week. The game, which pits the best players from the National and American Leagues against each other, was originally scheduled to be held at Dodger Stadium in July 2020, but was postponed due to the pandemic. Last year's edition was held at Coors Field in Colorado. Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw said he wants to be named to his 9th All-Star game, which appears likely, given the fan-favorite stellar 3-0 start to the season.
That's all for sports.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any ideas for the show, or if you want to let us know how we're doing, or if you got some news tips, send us an email at california.today@ntd.com. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Lang Zheng. Have a wonderful evening.